welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly. Hello, and welcome to this live stream of today's public meeting, brought to you by Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. Please stay tuned, and we'll see you shortly.
We're all here. Shall we call the meeting to order? Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. The first order of business is the approval of the minutes, and I hope you read, because I had to go back and read them because they're from June 14, so they're not fresh in my memory. But from what I saw, they look pretty good. Was there any questions about them? If not,
I'll move for approval.
Support.
thank you, Jim. Thank you, Mayor. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye if you approve the minutes.
Aye.
Motion's carried. Thank you. The next order of business is the financials that we just received, in addition to the ones that were in the packet. Tricia, are you going to go through these for us?
Good morning.
Thank you. Welcome.
And yeah, thank you very much for catching, apparently, who knows what happened, but yes, I was thinking we met in December and that the statements through November were already given to the board. So my apologies for that.
That's okay.
Oversight,
We just forewent that meeting because there wasn't enough
agenda items.
no topics or action to take. So
Yeah,
thank
sure.
you.
At this point, if you look at the January 31 statements, we're about 20% of the way through the budget. All of the property taxes, summer and winter, have been collected, and we did come in quite a bit over budget on our property tax increments. I'm happy to take any questions if anybody has any. There hasn't been anything out of the ordinary, everything pretty routine. Some invoices for rapid flash beacons, which I love as a driver and as a pedestrian, so I think that's great. If there's no questions, I would just ask for approval of Statement C, both the statements that you were just handed with the July through November expenditures, as well as the statement that was in your packet from December to January.
Support.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Mayor. Are there any questions or for clarification or discussion?
I have one question. I just wondered where those rapid flash beacons are.
Those are the ones in near the church, I believe.
That crosswalk we did?
Huh. I'll have to look again when I drive through. I don't recall
The
seeing
beacons
those.
may not be fully in, but the crosswalk improvement will be part of it.
Oh, okay. So it might not necessarily be.
The full project, I don't think
Okay.
is done.
And
I
that
think
was-
the bulk is coming in the spring.
For the sake of my memory, that was the crosswalk where the church has the daycare so they could get to the park that we supported?
Yep.
Across the median in Monroe, right?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or clarifications? All right, we have a motion and support. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion's carried. Thank you. All right, the next part is Tricia's 2, the audit.
Yes, good morning again. The city's auditor is Plant Moran, which includes all of the tax increment authorities connected to the city. We were given a clean, unmodified opinion, which is the highest and best opinion that we can get from an external auditor. During the audit, there was not any disagreements with management or anything that the auditors could not get. They received everything that they needed from management. It is management's responsibility for the statements, but there was no suggested adjustments or anything made by the auditors for these statements. So the statements that we presented to them is what is in your audit. I'm happy to go through the numbers if you want, but now that we're 7 months past, I don't know if that's the best use of our time.
That's fair.
But happy
Anyone
to take
interested
any
in
questions
that?
if there are any.
Okay. Any questions on the audit? I know I talked to the auditors. And this is, I'm thankful to say that every audit I've been a part of here at the Monroe North TIFA has been unmodified. It's been very similar. It feels very routine. So
Which is a good thing.
it's absolutely a good thing. No, that's great. That's exactly what we want.
Yeah.
So I think we need a motion to accept it. Is that correct? Or
I
how
believe
do-
it's usually received and filed.
Received and filed. So do we have a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
All right. Mayor, Deidre, second. All right. Any other questions? All in favor of receiving and filing, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. That motion is carried. Tim, were you taking the lead on the budget overview?
Yeah, I will, Mr. Chair. And just before I do that, I just wanted to acknowledge we do have a new member with us.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. So Scott Holsworth from Corwell has now joined the board. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome, Scott. Thank you. He and I worked together when I was at Corwell before I left, so I didn't apologize for
No, that's okay. Happy to be
welcoming
here.
you. Thank you for your participation.
Absolutely.
Happy to have you on board. And then, so we've done our action for the morning. I did want to just sort of tee up a couple of budget discussions, primarily because we will meet in April, and that we will do our FY25 budget then. But rather than coming in cold, just wanted to kind of tee up a couple things. And so at your places, before I kind of go through a couple slides, I reprinted out the 5-year priority plan that we approved for fiscal year 24. And then the financials, obviously, you have your hands on. I always do the orientation piece because I like to remind everyone what Monroe North is, because I think we all often hear it as different things. But our district is 6th Street up to Colebrook and over to essentially Ottawa there.
Thank you, Tim, because that's technically not how most people define
No,
Monroe
no,
North.
it usually starts just north of Michigan there, all the way up to Leonard. So for our purposes, we're talking about that swath of geography. And traditionally, haven't had a lot of projects moving forward in terms of big, significant things. We've often been able to invest in some of the infrastructure, road improvements, but there are a few things happening in the neighborhood that I think we'll want to at least continue to be a part of. And my hope this morning is we can just kind of talk to what extent. Before I do that, well, why don't I just jump right into it? So we have talked about Canal a couple times. This is Canal Park. This is north going that way, so that's 6th Street Bridge. We had a presentation on this a few months back, and we'll be able to have the designer in April to give you an update on where things stand. This project is going to be ready to bid in the fall, maybe a little sooner, but definitely by the fall, so within this calendar year. Currently, we have budgeted in here, and you'll see on the priority plan, we targeted $750,000 in FY25 and $750 in fiscal year 26. I can tell you that to move it forward to the extent we would like to see, there's going to be an ask for more investment, potentially up to doubling the TIFA's investment. And it could come in way of cash up front through the budget. We could also look at debt service if there was an appetite for that. But essentially doubling the overall investment, which, as you saw in the financials, the TIFA has capacity to do, that would start to eat into some of the other projects and priorities that we've identified here. However, I think given, again, our geography, given the significance of this park on the riverfront, it at least warrants a conversation and consideration. But before bringing you the priority plan that showed maybe a doubling of investment, I wanted to kind of tee it up for you and see what questions you might have, or...
So, Tim, I would ask, because it's been a bit since we've talked about this as a group, could you kind of just give a high-level overview of scope of what we're talking about with this project?
Yep, and I see Mark just walked in, so he might also
Mark's
be able
fine,
to
too.
help.
That's great.
But no,
It's
I think
available, but
just
I know that it's had different iterations.
few different iterations. At a high level, trail improvements, moving, so there's a parking lot there currently that would go away, be added green space, pavilion, water edge treatments, and then just general greening, and that's an event pavilion as well. I think the other centerpiece of this is the playground.
And we've talked about the
and we've
playground
talked about
as
the playground
a
quite a bit.
subset of this project, but I believe you're talking about a bigger scope. That's why I wanted
Yep,
to clarify to
exactly.
the group what
Yep,
it is
so
we're
it'd be a
talking about supporting.
Full-scale renovation. And Mark, was there anything I missed there that's key?
Not really.
Okay.
This is a little bit earlier rendering from where they are today. The playground has expanded a little bit because they've done significant outreach to the local tribe.
Okay.
And because they've been very involved with both the design of the overall park, but also some of the detailing in the park. And so I think that a few things to note here is that that trail, the sort of orangish that runs along there, that's sort of the new flood control that's going to happen. So that's at 100 plus 3, 100-year flood plus 3, which is the city, sort of the city's requirement with that. So what that does is create some sloping terraces or lawns down to the river in that one big area. So the park will look different when this is all done just because of the topography that's going to be manipulated. And then the pavilion is roughly where the tent was across the street from City Bill. So we piloted some activities there over the COVID era. And now, because of some of the successes that happened there, we're going to build a permanent structure there. Yes, it is. Yes. So everything that we've talked about through this project iteration is still included in the scope. I think the other thing that is important to note is that there's some stepping and terracing that goes on behind the linear building, getting us down to the water's edge. So that's a little bit different situation than what's happening there today.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there questions from the group for Mark before he gives up the mic?
I don't necessarily think it's for Mark.
Oh.
It could be for Tim or Mark. So in looking at it, I've been tracking the design for Canal Park, and obviously the city will be a key partner in this as well. So in looking at the budget, Tim, so I see, just to make sure I'm reading it right, as of right now, we have roughly 1.5 million set aside?
Yep, yes.
All right, so are you letting us know that it might be more than that?
Yes.
Okay.
The ask is for more, is that
It's
fair?
part of the discussion. We don't need to decide on the amount today. I'm mainly looking for some direction as we prepare the priority plan for April at what magnitude you're interested in exploring. We haven't asked to double the TIFA's contribution.
We have been asked to double.
Yeah.
Okay. And is there, go ahead. You had
Well, I would be willing to entertain that. I'd like to see that entire stack.
Yeah.
Who's paying for what?
Yep.
You know, a concern of mine always has been with both DDA and TIFA is that others rely on us instead of coming to the table with skin in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess for me that would be an important thing to consider.
Yep.
And then also I would assume that we're able to use a portion of our of the 55 million for trails.
It's not currently
this
scheduled
project
for this.
wasn't in that.
It
It's
wasn't
not
in
in
there.
Current
No.
approved.
The Leonard to Ann is.
Leonard to Ann
But
is,
not this portion.
Because this is an existing trail
Ah.
segment, the prioritization of that group was to fill in missing gaps.
Okay.
So
Oh, well,
the
that
55
makes-
million
okay.
is not.
All right.
So that's great. We can bring the stack scenario as part of the conversation for next time.
So, my comments, I guess, and anyone else chime in, please. This is a very important piece in Monroe North, clearly. So I would hope our group will support it to the extent that we are able and can make it happen, especially if it means happening quicker. Is there a timeline established with this, and are there other gaps? And now, when you said funding stack, I was thinking, are there other gaps that they're needing to close, even if our contribution doubled?
Timing wise, again, they're expecting to bid this fall. So that
Okay.
would likely put it in construction this time next year, or
Spring
maybe
of 20.
13, 14 months.
Okay.
Yeah. So all of next year it would be offline
Yep.
if they started the construction, which means no events or anything. They would have to move somewhere else.
Yeah.
While the work is being
Yes.
performed.
Yes.
Okay. I guess to the mayor's point, could we get that information
Absolutely.
circulated to the
Yep.
group to help inform, I guess?
Of course, yeah, we'll
I
bring that forward.
mean, I'll take am I allowed to take a straw vote from the group? You don't have to just agree with me, but is the group is the group willing to support this with additional dollars to make it happen? I'm seeing nods, okay.
If it's available.
Yeah, fair,
Yeah,
I don't know it's not to be available, I assume.
yeah.
yeah, we
Okay.
won't spend money we don't have.
So I don't want to just speak for everyone, but I just want to understand the collective will. But to me, this, like I said, this is a focal point. It's smack dab in the middle of our TIFA and Monroe North, so it really fits the purpose of why the TIFA
Exactly.
was started. So to me, this is good. But I do appreciate your question because we shouldn't be the sole funder of it.
Yeah, or the largest funder, in my opinion. So I guess that would be helpful to me. And I would want to make sure that some of our other priorities are not negatively impacted by shifting dollars or adding dollars.
Okay.
So I still think it's important to keep the funds in there for the river restoration. My hope is that we'll be able to move forward with Lower Reach this year, really tee up Upper Reach next year. And we'll need dollars for a whole host of things related to that project as well. And potentially we would be asked to contribute more to that, depending on where that comes in, as everything has increased from when we started planning this project a decade ago.
Things are more expensive for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm open
That's
to it.
helpful.
And the other thing, I guess, I'll just put out there, and I know we've done this as we've looked at other projects like Lion Square, and even as we think about the 201 Market, thinking long-term maintenance as well and making sure that we have a plan in place for that, I think
Yep.
is also really important. Make this kind of investment, we need to make sure that we have a plan for maintenance as well as activation.
Agreed.
Well said. Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions from the group?
I have a question on the investments line. Is that, it says interest on investments, is that distributions from the pool of investments, that's money that's available, or is that dependent on the market?
Market, I might look to Tricia to give the technical
Okay, sorry if that's.
definition.
Hi. That line includes both interest that we have received
In cash on a monthly basis, as well as where we were at all of our investments at the end of June. It then gets reversed, so that is not a solid number until the new entry goes in June, where we bring everything back to market value. But certainly a portion of that interest revenue is real cash that you can spend.
Okay, and there is a portion of that if the market goes down by 10%, that could impact that line? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Other questions or comments? Go ahead.
One other ask of you all, and again, we don't need specifics, but just from a target perspective, I always look at the fund balance as we're getting into priority planning. So again, for fiscal year 24, we forecasted it in about $2.5 million, which is a pretty healthy fund balance. For reference, the DDA and the local tax increment targets $2 million, and then the non-tax fund targets $1 million in reserve. So if there was a level at which you are comfortable getting to in terms of an ending fund balance, that would also be helpful in terms of balancing these priorities. Maybe I'll pause there to see if you have any immediate thoughts or questions as a follow-up on that. What number do you want to see at the bottom line at the end of the day? Is $1 million, $2 million? Because that'll influence obviously what we're able to bring forward.
I'll just say that I'm used to a percentage of revenue or expenses as kind of the target balance, and I don't know what those numbers are for the DDA, for the 2 million, or how that might apply to this. Or do we not use that kind of figure in city organizations?
The DDA, that tracks around 20%, between 15 and 20% for a given year. And I think that pretty closely aligns with what the city does.
Yeah, ours is 15% budget stabilization and then another 10%. So we are at 25%.
The city is.
Yeah.
City is, yeah.
City
So
is.
what would we be talking about if someone could give us that number for the TIFA, what would we be looking at as a minimum fund balance?
I can
Net
bring,
position.
we just got our priority plan projections, so I'll bring that for the budget next time around, but that's just obviously another piece as we're thinking at what
That would
revenues we
help
have
me
to
to
spend.
answer the question that you
Okay,
asked.
fair enough, fair enough.
I usually, 15% is usually the lowest I'll go for budget stabilization or surplus. That's kind of my go-to. It's consistent with other boards that I serve on. So I think 15 to 20% is where I would fall based on,
Comfort
maybe
level.
the recommendation from Tricia and the team. But I'm with you. I'm more comfortable with a percentage than just a
number, fixed
number.
Dollar amount, okay.
And I think it would be good if we could circulate it before our next meeting, so we could be prepared.
Yep, yeah,
I didn't come prepared for these today,
I'm
sorry.
sort of just
But
throwing
you're
questions
kind
out.
of
Yeah.
introducing them to
Yep.
us, so that's, but it would be helpful to have ahead of time, so we could
Great.
have a better budget discussion at our next meeting.
All right.
Any other asks coming up?
Well, yeah, there is one more actually. And this is still a little ways out, so I don't have numbers or specifics, but just to put it on your radar, the 975 Ottawa building is slated for redevelopment. This is the Silva project, so again, 6th Street here, Coldbrook here. These are some more zoomed in renderings. Former Spectrum Health offices, and an athletic center. The signage is still right there if you look at it, but really difficult building to redevelop because of the scale of it. The new owner has a pretty interesting concept there for event space, restaurant, bar, indoor bocce ball courts, kind of a host of things going on. And I think he may have presented at the Business Association. He's talked about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's still some things to sort out for it, but again, in the district, the TIFA, there would be eligible activities based on TIFA expenditures that could come forward. So this would likely fall under our downtown enhancement grant line item if and when it does come ahead. And I'm hoping we'll know more for the budget conversation in April, and certainly bring those. But if there are any specific questions you have or other information you want to know, let me know now. Otherwise, we'll kind of bring forward what we know at that point for your consideration.
Yeah, it sounds like it's more a future ask
Yep.
at this point.
Yep.
But it's a project that could be supported by this group.
Yes,
So you're
exactly.
making us aware of it.
Yep,
That it could be coming and likely will be coming, maybe is a better way to put it.
We try to account for it in the 25
Yeah.
budget, so wanted to
Good.
just flag it now, so it's not a surprise. Great.
Great.
All right, that was it. Thank you for indulging me in those, that discussion. I think it'll really help on the canal conversation just to have a couple of targets in mind. And obviously knowing what information you all want to consider before is very useful, so thank you.
That's great. Thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah.
It's the park is an exciting project that we're looking forward to
Yes.
seeing come
More
to fruition.
riverfront-
Yeah.
Riverfront transformation is always good to see.
All right. So do you have a report for us as well? Sue?
I do. I don't have a whole lot to add other than World of Winter is still going on. That goes through March 10th. Hopefully you've come down to see some of the activities and been at some of the events, but just want to make sure you're aware it's still going on. And I think we're going to get snow tonight, so it might actually be winter again.
Be winter again?
Yeah, don't hold me to that. And then the other thing, just to acknowledge it, is Black History Month. So we do have a couple of flyers. I don't know if you all have them at your desk, but we'll make sure you get them. There is a downtown walking tour set up. You can download the application through GR Walks. And then we did put together this flyer of historical notable Black figures throughout Grand Rapids history. So just a couple of takeaways as you head out. Otherwise, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Maybe just because we haven't met for a while, and probably be good to keep this group up to speed. You want to add anything about where we are with progress with Switchback Park or some of the ideas around Division and the redevelopment of Division Street?
Yes, and I might look to Mark to give you more specifics on timing, but just as a reminder, the Switchback Park idea started in GR Forward. These are the connections from Belknap down to Division and into Monroe North. We have been working with steering committee as well as our partners at Grand Valley State, Corewell, Michigan State to look at sort of realignment both of Division and Ionia in Monroe North, and thinking about how those streets could potentially be combined to open up more space for park space, commercial development, et cetera. And then within that, thinking about those linkages down from the hill. Mark is leading that from our team's perspective, and so might have some more detail both on timing and sort of where things stand with design.
So it's really 3 projects at this point. It's the realignment of Division Avenue, it is the hillside, and it is that tunnel that goes underneath the highway. And they all have unique challenges because there's just multiple jurisdictions that are involved. So I think all 3 of them have Michigan Department of Transportation ramifications. At least 2 of them probably have federal highway stuff that we have to deal with because I-96 is a federal highway. So we're working with MDOT on those. And then obviously with the tunnel project, we're working with Michigan State University because they're really anchoring both sides of that. And it goes right into their campus on the south side. So lots of logistical things to go through, lots of procedural things to go through with those. The city really is leading our Division Avenue realignment, the city engineering, and so we're marching along pretty steadfastly on that. It's possible that could be under construction in calendar year 25, which would be the same. Ideally, that would align with the continued reconstruction of Division Avenue that goes to Fulton Street during that period of time. Whether we can hit that remains to be seen, but I think that's sort of an ideal situation for us, looking at that. And then the tunnel project is also moving along really pretty quickly, all things considered, and we've done a laser scan of that project, so now what that means is that we have all the information about that tunnel, all the dimensions, all of the, like down to the 1/8 of an inch, and that helps us begin to better understand what we can do in there with lighting, various other things, and then continue on that. So we are probably at about 40% complete on that at this point in time. The hillside is lagging a little bit behind, but that's progressing actually quite well considering the various things that we have to do there. We're going to be doing soil borings on the hill as our next phase, which doesn't sound exciting, but there's a lot of stuff on that hill that we're concerned with. So they're doing a series of borings that are 50, 30, and I think 10 feet deep to understand both water table and the structural capabilities of the soil. And I think that one's probably, we're going to try to phase it so that we're not chunking off a whole bunch all at once. So it might be a stair, and then another year there's another stair, and then we start connecting them with this switchback situation. As far as current schedule, we are going to be convening the steering committee to talk about two of the projects, the tunnel and the hillside, probably next month, if we can get them all together. There's been a lot of changes with some of the steering committee members, so we're trying to add some folks to that and make sure that we're getting representation from both neighbors and from the institutions that are part of this. Oh, and the other thing I should note, this is actually a big hurdle, is that the hillside is city property for the most part. There's some MDOT property there, but it's not a park. So we've been having a lot of discussions about what this thing ultimately becomes, and I think that we're now at a point where everyone's comfortable with this potentially being a park someday, or probably being a park someday, that makes a huge difference just operationally and how we begin to move forward. So it's now in the city project queue as a park. So that was actually a big deal.
Provides protections in the future.
Yes.
To prevent development.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jim, go ahead.
A couple of questions. Would you say you're pretty confident that the realignment of division is going to happen, or of Plainfield?
Yeah, I think confident technically. There's still some financial hurdles that we probably have to get through. And MDOT is a kind of a weird organization to deal with. So sometimes we have a meeting and it's all good, and then the next meeting is like, well, we have to do this, this, and this, and it could take you 2 years. So it's a back and forth kind of thing. I think that we've got Art Green from MDOT has been actually really good to work with on this project and has kept it front and center with correcting folks who want to make it a 3-year permitting process. So I think that it technically works. There's no issues in terms of like, it doesn't line up, the alignments don't work, there's traffic safety concerns, there's grading concerns, no technical issues. It's just, I think, the procedure and probably how much it's going to cost. These are street projects are getting pretty expensive these days.
Second question is about the steering committee.
Yeah.
Wondering just a little bit who that is, and also because this is such a significant project, both up the hill, down the hill, how well is that publicized? Where is information available about that when meetings happen and so on, in case people want to provide public input?
So the way that we've handled this project from the start was we established a steering committee that had city departments on it, Michigan State University, Corewell Health, Belknap, Monroe North, and then I think there were 3 residents who represented various folks within that sphere. And then that committee really does some of the inside work that has to happen, basically steering the project. And then we've also done actually public meetings. So there's been open houses where a lot of this stuff is coming out. So I think that that's likely the way that we proceed with this one, where we have the steering committee looking at what we're doing, sort of giving their comments or blessings or whatever, and then going to a broader public meeting and having a presentation about it and people's ability to publicly comment on it.
Appreciate the involvement of the neighborhood
Yes.
organizations in that
Yes.
process. Yes,
So
thanks.
we've even had leadership changes within the neighborhood. So I think we're adding folks and taking folks off as we speak in order to get that meeting convened.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hearing the questions, I think maybe we can schedule at least an update of where things are, and so we can show you some of the updated renderings
Yes.
for April as we're thinking about budgets and all those sorts of things, just so it stays in front of you all as well.
Yeah. Any other questions? Mark, Tim? All right. All right, I'll open it up for public comment.
Hey, so I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Christina Colby, and I'm the new executive director at Neighbors of Belknap Lookout.
All right.
So I often hear...
Are you on the did you get added to that steering committee?
I have not been invited yet.
Okay.
You are at it.
So I often hear Monroe North and Belknap as separate things. So from my understanding, from the map I've been provided with the city, Belknap includes Monroe North. So one of my jobs is really trying to build the connection there between residents and businesses. So things I've been hearing about Canal Park, people are so excited about it. Hillside Project, they're excited. Silva, I just went there today, actually. Huge project. People are excited. There's a lot of great things happening right now, and the neighborhood's really excited to see this growth. And I think as the connection between Creston, which is booming, and downtown, I mean, this is just such a great place to be right now, and I'm really excited to be in this role. And I do have business cards if anyone wants to connect with me. For those unaware, so Neighbors of Belknap Lookout, we are a nonprofit. We have one staff member, that's me, and I'm part-time. So there's a lot of work to do, but it's a great neighborhood, growing neighborhood, and I'm excited to be here.
Great, well,
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you.
And I assume you're I hate to assume anything, but are you connected with the Monroe North
Yeah.
Business Association?
Yes,
Wonderful.
I was there
Good.
this morning. So,
Great.
and so also the DDA meeting was at the same time, so I don't know how to, so many meetings, oh my gosh.
Right. Well, thank you for
Yeah.
coming and introducing yourself.
Absolutely, thanks.
And it is a great connection, and some people define the lines differently, but it isn't to keep anybody out, but it's great to have you at the meeting. And
Thank you. And when
appreciate
that
you.
Hillside project does happen, because it will, I know they've been talking about it for 10 years, but that will really bring the connection between
Absolutely.
the business district and the residents who live up there. So,
Yep.
very exciting.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you. All right. Any other board member discussion? Anything for the group? Well, thank you all for coming. Appreciate it. The meeting's adjourned.